Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you for joining me once again. My name is General Confusion, and this is Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri. So we are back. We have our little island. I can't say words. Once again, I can never say words. If you watch many of my videos, you'll get used to that. So we have our island. We have plenty of bases on our island. We're using the space pretty well. Could be a little more efficient, but it's all right. We also have Garden of the Deep here that is building some sea formers. It has this mineral square, which is really nice. It also has an energy square. It also has a bunch of farms already made. Memory of Earth can also use those farms. Right now I'll just use this space for growth reasons, although I also want the recycling tanks, but I can hurry them. And then we will do that to get some energy. I want to look into the possibility of leveling my energy off. Because, wow, see, that jumps my income a lot. It does slow my research, but right now I have Doctrine Flexibility, I have Plasma Steel Armor, I have Particle Impactors, so I'm doing okay technology-wise. Democratic Paradigm Economy would be nice, but once again, I don't want that support penalty. So we're going to stick with Frontier Politics for now. Have to excuse me if you pick up a few sniffles. I'm a little under the weather right at the moment. We're going to get some roads going.
Complete.
This former is going to... What do I really need? At this point, I'm trying to figure out what I want out of my terraforming, because it's fairly... My terraforming is fairly advanced right at the moment. What is this former doing? What he should be doing is building a condenser. I think I had that former automated. Automatic formers very rarely, if ever, build advanced terraforming structures. You have to do those manually. This former, we have this nice space here. It's not quite as good as this space. What I should do, actually, is get a sea former out of VELVETGRASS Point after its recycling tanks is done. And then that sea former will be able to plant farms, build tidal harnesses, the solar collector equivalent for the ocean, and also get that resource and that resource farmed and mined up. So I'll be able to be extracting value from them. This former... I'm going to remove the fungus from that river so that I can get the energy from it. I forget at what point we lift the energy restrictions. Hey Santiago, do you want to talk to me? You are as always the most beautiful of us all. Aw, thank you, and your follower is the most ecologically sensitive. She likes me! Also, I really like Santiago's ponytail. That's pretty cool. Impact Squad Mark II prototype. Yeah, I have that too. She wants Doctrine Flexibility. Nope. Comlink frequencies. How about the Morganites? Nope, doesn't have it, and she doesn't want to talk. Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting diplomacy option. I'm not sure if it was present in all the Civ games, because I haven't played all the Civ games, but the fact that they will just cut you off if they don't like you. So you get, like, one shot to do something, and then they just cut you off. So being friendly just gives you more opportunities. Relatively realistic that way. In fact, the diplomacy in this game is pretty good altogether. It does have some problems, but overall it's pretty good. This former, I'm just going to automate. I'm just going to automate some of my spare formers at this point. Ooh, okay, this is a special thing.
Life is merely an orderly decay of energy states.
Okay, so we've got the energy bank, and yeah, it's boosting my stockpile energy bonus here. So this base is now making a whopping 10 energy per turn. So unless there's something really valuable that it could be building... I mean, it could buff its research, it could build a command center, but it's not really worth paying the upkeep for those structures. It would cost as much energy as I'm making. It would basically just be turning economic energy into research energy, which is okay, but it isn't, like, super, super valuable. I could build a children's creche. I'll do that.
Production complete.
Take the fungus off. You've got the road built there. Go down here. We're going to build a road on that square. We have that square all sorted. Let's go over here. I want to save my coastal squares for other... I don't want to build condensers and stuff there because thermal boreholes, which give you a huge amount of minerals and energy, can only be built on low-lying flat squares. technically you need a square that isn't a slope, so it's not connected to another land square of lower altitude, but really, in practice, that means coasts, because the ground in planet is rolling enough that usually most non-coastal squares are slopes. We are building lots of network nodes, which is nice. The network node here isn't actually going to do much, so I'm going to change that to a transport foil. We have an impact rover here, and Autumn Grove building a network node. This network node will be effective. Gaia's Landing, building a children's creche, fine. Flowers Preach, children's creche, recycling tanks, sea formers. And then we will queue up a colony pod to go on the transport foil along with our impact rover. We're going to go over here, grab these pods, and establish a base over here somewhere. These are the geothermal shallows. And the geothermal shallows means that they produce extra energy. So building a base over here, we can then pop up energy things just everywhere. The energy 0, energy 1 with solar 2. I believe that's in addition to the energy they generate at base. And there's an energy resource, so a base that we built over there would be hugely profitable. We've got our Transplasma Sentinels there. This former, we are going to automate. Transplasma Sentinels there, and there, and
Production
there.
complete.
So we've got our transport foil. You are loaded onto it. The sentry button, the L button, also loads units onto transports. And we will head out with that. Build the road there.
Complete.
We've got the sea former there.
Indigenous
Pod here. Okay,
life form.
we found an Isle of the Deep. I want to capture this Isle of the Deep, but I only have a 25% chance. Didn't work. Okay. So odds are even. We can either fight it or try to run away, but it would probably chase us anyway. So I'm just gonna fight it. Odds are even. Nope, that didn't go well.
Complete.
Well, that was
Terraform
sad.
complete.
Okay. So we want to build. We probably want to get Song of Planet. Well, Song of Planet has access to that condenser, and they don't really need another one. I mean, they've got a forest here that's producing energy. They've got this square that's producing 2 nutrients. They've got access to that condenser. We should build a farm under that condenser to buff its nutrients by 1 more. So they've got plenty of nutrients, actually. So we'll just... we'll put a farm under there. And this former will build... We'll take the fungus off that river. Oh, there's Santiago. Okay. She wants Doctrine Flexibility. I don't want to give it to her. Since you're here, I'll ask for comlink frequencies. How about Yang? Name your price. Nope, she doesn't want to give it to us. Okay. We want another C unit because our last impact foil was destroyed. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to go into the workshop and get us a cheap little gun foil unit. So we have the colony pod queued up, and then we'll just build a couple of gun foils. Unarmed, unarmored, they're just going out there to explore. Build a farm. Move away and build a... You can't build a farm under an echelon mirror, sadly. I don't believe. Oh, yeah, you can. Never mind me. Don't listen to me. I'm stupid. Sometimes.
Terraform complete.
Why do we have an alien artifact in this transport foil?
Nutrient resources.
Okay, well... You should go back to Autumn Grove and deposit that for a free technology.
Indigenous life
More mind worms. Since right now we only have a 25% chance to
Enemy project
capture mind worms,
initiated.
it's not going very well. Uh-oh. Oh no. Okay, now we get our first interlude. Walking alone through the corridors of Gaia's Landing, you skim the security reports on recent attacks by the horrific native mind worms. Giant swarms, or boils, of these mottled 10-centimeter nightmares have wriggled out of the fungal beds of late, and now threaten to overwhelm base perimeters in several sectors. Victims are paralyzed with psi-induced terror, and then experience an unimaginably excruciating death as the worms burrow into the brain to implant their ravenous larvae. Only the most disciplined security squads can overcome their fear long enough to trigger the flame guns, which can keep the worms at bay. Clearly, you will have to tend carefully to the morale of the troops. Furthermore, since terror and surprise increase human casualties dramatically in these encounters, it will be important to strike first when mindworm boils are detected. You consider ordering some former detachments to construct sensors near vulnerable bases to aid in such detection efforts. I really like these. For one thing, they give you some story, and they're interesting, and for another thing, they give you in-game information in a way that makes sense in-universe. So it tells you morale is the thing that matters during psi combat, and attacking is valuable. So in game terms, what this translates to is psi combat ignores weapons and armor, so morale is the only thing that gives you bonuses, besides like perimeter defenses if you're in a base. And attackers on ground, on land, get a 3-2 advantage just right off the bat. Defenders are at a 50% disadvantage no matter what their weapon, no matter what their armor, no matter what their morale level. Morale level is applied after that. So, attacking the mindworms rather than being attacked, and having high morale units are the two things that are most important to dealing with them.
Production complete.
The prevalence of anoxic environments, rich in organic material, combined with the presence of nitrated compounds, has led to an astonishing variety of underground organisms, which live in the absence of oxygen and breathe nitrate. Likewise, the scarcity of carbon in the environment has forced plants to economize on its use. Thus, all our efforts to return carbon to the biosphere will encourage the native life to proliferate. Conversely, the huge quantities of nitrate in the soil will be heaven to human farmers. Lady Deirdre Skye, The Early Years.
That's us, everybody. Lady Deirdre Skye showing off her chops as a biologist. Okay, so now we have lifted the mineral restrictions. This technology, environmental economics, lets us build tree farms, which is very valuable. It's not the one that opens up the energy restriction. That is... I forget which one it is. It's a little higher up on the chain. But, so this allows us to build it normally allows us to build the advanced structures that we could already build, and it allows us to get more minerals than 2 from 1 square. So at this point, thermal boreholes start to become valuable.
Complete.
They don't
Production
finish
complete.
becoming valuable, but they begin to become valuable because now we can build a thermal borehole and get like 7 minerals from it. So we'll link this alien artifact to our network node that we just built, and get another free technology.
Seems more nihilistic than that of previous eras. Perhaps this is simply a sign of our maturity as a sentient species. As our collective consciousness expands beyond a crucial point, we are at last ready to accept life's fundamental truth, that life's only purpose is life itself. Chairman Shen Jiyang, looking God in the eye.
It's interesting that it's Yang's nihilism that is showcased next to planetary networks. Planetary networks basically represents the development of the internet, or the redevelopment of the internet on planet in this faction's bases. And it allows for probe teams. Probe teams are the spy unit. You can use them to go into other bases, steal enemy technology, steal money. You can try to mind control the base if you have enough energy. It's very expensive, but it can be done. And then you can do even weirder things later on. It also unlocks the Hologram Theater, which is a drone-controlling building that's very powerful, and the Virtual World. The Virtual World is one of those secret projects that's hugely useful to one faction, and pretty useful to the others. It's hugely useful to the university, because what the Virtual World does is it makes every network node you have count as a Hologram Theater. A Hologram Theater removes 2 drones from the base. And the university gets network nodes for free in every base they build. So the Virtual World basically gives the university -2 drones everywhere all the time. It would still be valuable for us because we've been building network nodes, but not as valuable because we do have to build the network node first and pay for it, whereas the university gets it for free. It also unlocks librarians, which are specialists that just generate research directly, and it unlocks planned economics. So let's look at our units. Yep, we can get probe teams. We can have speeder probe teams. Well, they are already... We can get... By base, at default, they use the speeder chassis. They just have a special icon, so they move at 2. We can also have foil probe teams, which we definitely want. So let's commence social engineering. Let's look at planned. If we go to planned, our efficiency goes down. That lowers our income by a little bit because we start losing energy from inefficiency among our bases. However, it would increase our growth rate by 2, sorry. It would give us plus 20% growth, and it would decrease mineral costs, so we would build things faster. I'm honestly not hugely too focused on income right at the moment, especially since we leveled out our labs and our economy. Our income has jumped tremendously anyway. I think I'm going to go with planned for now, just because I want the extra growth and I want the mineral decrease. So we're going to pay 16 energy credits to get that. This Isle of the Deep is going to attack Garden of the Deep next turn, and it's going to kill a population unit, which is very unfortunate. This Mindworm... Mindworms are good for exploration because they can move quickly through fungus, so we're going to put this Mindworm on the transport foil. Autumn Grove is not going to stockpile energy. Autumn Grove is going to build a skimship probe team. Autumn Grove is making 11 minerals a turn, incidentally. And what I think I'm going to do is... He's removing fungus. You're building a farm? Okay. I'm going to get this former. Autumn Grove is going to be my main production base. It's my largest base, and it's making the most minerals. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move up here and replace one of these forests with a thermal borehole. This colony pod is going to move up to Autumn Grove in order to join the transport foil. The transport foil is just going to move right over here.
Production complete.
Yeah, okay, see, Garden of the Deep lost a population unit there. Song of Planet has got a network node. Deirdre has many network nodes. Energy Bank, what do we think?
Insufficient energy.
I may have Song of Planet start to build the virtual world. Partially because I want it, and partially to keep anyone else from getting it. Or, I could... This is a land base. I could build another colony pod that we can ferry over.
Complete.
So we've got that. We're going to... yeah, we're going to build a farm and a solar collector there. We've got a farm road condenser combination there. Greenhouse Gate is also building our transport foils. So... Do I have any squares near Greenhouse Gate that can be boreholed? Can this square be boreholed? I don't actually know. Mindworm. Who's using the echelon mirror square? Oh. Okay. And what about... How much energy does that square produce? Only 2. I am playing this game as a very, very bad guy, and I believe I've said that before. But this amount of advanced terraforming, we're doing some eco damage. Well, we're not doing much eco damage, actually. We're still at 0 pretty much everywhere. Once I start throwing down boreholes, then we'll be doing eco damage. Both because mineral production creates ecological damage, and terraforming itself creates some ecological damage. But I'm going to throw down a borehole anyway. We're stockpiling energy there, which we don't need to do. Here, well, Guy's Landing doesn't have that many minerals, but we'll build an energy bank.
Production complete.
It's starting to become worthwhile. And let's go over there. Moving through the fungus. We have another transport foil here. We're going to change that to an energy bank. Move him over to Autumn Grove. Can we build a borehole here? Yes, we can. Goody, goody gumdrops. Colony pod.
Indigenous life forms.
Now, here's the other interesting thing about mindworms. Mindworms will not attack mindworms. So we can try here. Our odds are 7 to 5, so we're going to go for it. But we can try to capture mindworms with mindworms, and they won't fight. And it gives our mindworms, you know, increased life. So on that square, which is otherwise pretty useless, we're going to build a borehole for Gaia's Landing. We're going to build a borehole over here.
Production
We're going to build a farm on this space. And it generates 5 energy now, since we've got that bonus resource there. We're going to have another sea former, and then we're going to build an energy bank, because we're going to be getting quite a bit of energy from this base. Here we'll get a farm. VELVETGRASS Point is now working on its network node. Good. Solar collector. Solar collector. Transport foil can just wait. This skimship probe team can start going out. Ooh, pods.
Nutrient resources.
We've got a drone. I don't think the Great Dunes do anything. I think they're just a
Pod
place.
recovered.
Oh, and we've got a Unity foil. We are just getting all kinds of units. Wow.
Pod
Get that
recovered.
pod. Okay, forests. Free forests are good. We could build a base right here. This is a decent spot for a base. Or we could go over there and build a base on the far corner, which would give us access to that mineral thing. I might, or we could stay over here and have access to that. You know what? I'm just going to build it here.
Request
We're going to get our
confirmation.
transplasma sentinels up. We're going to get our former first this time, and then a recycling tanks. Just because I would like to have a former to be
Production
doing work.
complete.
Actually, I shouldn't have. Well, I'm leaving him there to heal.
Nutrient resources.
Nutrient resources.
Indigenous
Oh, mind worms. Captured him. Yes! That's my favorite part of playing the Gaians. My absolute favorite part is capturing tons of mind worms. Alright, we're building another skimship probe team here. Greenhouse Gate is building an energy bank.
Request confirmation.
Yeah, we'll just hurry that right along. You are stockpiling energy, but you have 11 minerals. So you start building the
Contact
virtual world.
initiated.
This base, the Flowers Preach, has all of my secret projects, so I'm going to have to defend the crap out of this base. So our first step to that is going to be upgrading this guy to a Transplasma Sentinels. We have another colony pod over there. He can go to Autumn Grove. Song of Planet is now small enough that I don't want it building more colony pods right at the moment. It can build an energy bank instead. How fast is it growing? It's growing pretty quickly. Borehole. Gunfoil for exploration purposes.
Terraform complete.
Last Rose of Summer is building another gunfoil, and then it will queue up an energy bank. Borehole.
Production complete.
Okay, we've got an energy bank there. Like I said, it's not very efficient right now. It will become more efficient later, especially once we have that borehole running and we've lifted the energy restriction. Let's get another sea colony pod out.
Production complete.
There's lots of sea fungus around, crimping our style.
Indigenous life forms.
Just killing mindworms, getting energy from them. Every time you kill a mindworm when you attack, you gain planet pearls, which gives you a small amount of energy. And leveling up our worms. Okay, so now, yeah, 3 nutrients, 5 energy. This is why sea bases can be useful. I know not everybody likes them,
Confirmation.
but I do. I like having some, both for use as basically stepping stones,
Terraform complete.
and because they do generate quite a bit of energy. I think Silverbird Park has enough formers, though. Let's get another skimship probe team. I would like having those just freaking everywhere. Okay, the Morganites are about to build the merchant exchange, which is fine.
Production complete.
Still haven't
Nutrient
found
resources.
anybody
Pod
else.
recovered.
We found this other island, which is pretty sweet. I like this island. I'm not going to grab a pod with it. Well, I will.
Pod recovered.
Okay, we got a Unity rover. That worked out.
Indigenous life
Oh,
forms.
and we got mindworms. Build a mine. Build a farm. The Flowers Preach their energy production, the energy production of these bases that have access to these squares will jump up once the energy restriction is lifted. Right now, not impressive, but it'll jump. I'm going to forest these squares here. VELVETGRASS Point now has access to all the nutrients they possibly could ever want. You get in that transport foil. Get the transport foil over here.
Indigenous life.
Isle of the Deep. Can we capture it? Can we capture it? No. Shoot. Okay, they built the merchant exchange. And now people are redirecting towards the virtual world.
Complete.
Now that was I don't know why he moved back, but that little jump you just saw, that's a handy thing rovers can do. If they're faster than their opponent, they can disengage from the middle of combat. Now we are going to try to finish off this mind worm. Oh. Okay, new plan. We need to toughen hiring standards for our skippers, because they're clearly not very good at their job. Losers.
Indigenous life forms.
Oh, for Pete's sake, more mind worms. Just run away. You get in there. Alright, sonar pod, that's fine. This Unity foil, I'm just using these free Unity foils to explore with. Because, you know, I don't really need them. Okay, well, at least our impact rover won. I would have cried if I had lost that. And Gaia's Landing, at this point, I don't need Gaia's Landing to be producing much. I could produce another colony pod at Gaia's Landing and transport it off to fill up this land, which is what I'm gonna do. So now, three nutrients and 2 energy is pretty great for there. This will produce, if I recall correctly, it'll produce 4 minerals once the mine is completed. Maybe it's 3. Maybe it's only 3. Anyway, it'll produce some minerals, and so I'll be able to build structures and stuff here reasonably effectively. And you just keep building energy. You get back to Razorbeak Wood and heal. Yep, disembark the colony pod, go back to Autumn Grove. Dimship probe team, head down that way. Just killing us all them worms. So we've explored a little chunk of the map now. Have not yet found anybody. We're going to disembark our worm to grab that. Oh, it's a monolith. We're going to enhance all our units.
Indigenous life forms.
Okay, they're landing mindworm boils now. I'm going to activate this unit, try to take them. No, call off the attack. Okay, what about this guy?
Perhaps a careful review of your options is in order.
Shoot.
Perhaps a careful review of your options is in order.
Okay, well, that was a very poor decision making on my part. I was trying to capture them because I really like capturing mindworms as the Gaians. They're just so handy. We're gonna lose either 1 unit of population from both of these bases or 2 units from Last Rose of Summer. We're just gonna change this to a Transplasma Sentinels. It'll be finished next turn. Hurrying it so it takes 0 turns still won't save us from the mindworms. Attacks happen before production. So we'll just let it be. It'll be what it is. We're going to plant this base over here, and then we'll put more bases over here throughout the Great Dunes. Actually, do I have a rover that I can activate? Yes, I do.
Perhaps a careful review of your options is in order.
Nope, so we're going to have him hold. Actually, even odds on the attack are probably as good as we're going to get, because if he holds, then they'll be attacking at 3-2. And he's only disciplined, so we're just going to attack and hope. If we win, it looks like we're going to win. Okay, we won. And in winning, we destroyed both units on that square, because Alpha Centauri has a collateral damage mechanic. If there are multiple units stacked on one square, when you destroy one, other units take collateral damage, which is mitigated by their armor and health. Well, mindworms have 0 armor, because they are entirely dependent on psi combat. So if you destroy one mindworm on a square, all the other mindworms on that square also die. It's fantastic. So, I'm going to build a sensor right here. I've been meaning to build sensors, and I guess I just haven't yet. Get a farm and a mine there.
Recovered.
150 credits. Woo! Nice. This Unity rover can go down here to guard this base once it's built. This Unity rover and this boil of mindworms can go on that foil. This Unity foil can come down here to pick up those worms once they reach the top.
Indigenous life form.
Okay, that skimship probe team is going to die, but that's okay.
Production complete. Terraform complete.
Alright, so we've got the Transplasma Sentinels. We now have a drone here, so we're going to build a Recreation Commons. And over here, yep, you're building a network node, and then you're going to queue in a Transplasma Sentinel. Hold there. We've got forests over here. We're going to start sending some formers over on these transport foils as well. Greenhouse gate, instead of a sea colony pod, just build a regular colony pod. We can just ship them on over. Disembark our mindworms there.
Observe the racerbeak as it tends so carefully to the fungal blooms. Just the right bit from the yellow, then a swatch from the pink. Follow the glow mites as they gather and organize the fallen spores. What higher order guides their work? Mark my words, someone or something is managing the ecology of this planet. Lady Deirdre Sky, Planet Dreams.
This is another very interesting one. Remember, Lady Deirdre is a biologist. She's an award-winning, top-level biologist. And she is now saying, in her, professional opinion, there's something weird going on with the ecology of this planet. This is not a matter of evolution. This is a matter of some kind of deliberate management. So, this allows us to build mindworms when we build a biology lab. Or I think we can actually just build mindworms, but biology labs gives them a bonus. We can build the Empath Guild, which is a secret project that gives us extra votes in council meetings, and it gives us the comlink frequencies for every other faction. I'm going to build that just because I like it. It's not necessary, but it can be valuable. It unlocks green economics, which is very valuable for us because it boosts our mindworm capture chance to 75%. It gives us the Empath Song, which is a 50% attack bonus against mindworms, and it lets us build roads in fungus, so we don't have to destroy fungus just to have a transport network. So green gives us +2 efficiency, +2 planet, and -2 growth. So the way to counteract that is you go green. Now we have a paradigm economy, we have lower growth, our breakthroughs happen a little faster, and we have maximum chance of native life form capture, which is 75%. But our production rate is normal. You can also hit democratic. Now we have +6 efficiency, so our efficiency is absolutely perfect. It was actually technically perfect already. But this gives us a support penalty in exchange for negating the growth rate penalty. Democratic and green is great late game and mid game. It's not as good right now, just because it makes us grow more slowly, and it lowers our support. So we end up paying a lot more minerals supporting our units. Which kind of has to be, is a little difficult to mitigate, but I'm going to go for it. I want the native growth, the native life form capture. I like having a paradigm economy. And normal growth rate, I'm okay with. Normal growth, normal production, I'm okay with that. Planned economy, it would give us a whopping +40% growth to go democratic and planned, which is really useful for the kind of expansion we're doing. But I like green, especially because as we're expanding more, we'll find more and more mindworms, and we can start attacking people with them once we find somebody to attack. So that's what we're going to do. Interlude from the Book of Planet. Reporting, lady. The young functionary stands stiffly at attention. Born in the early years of planetfall, she belongs to a generation which knows Earth only as a distant legend. Lindley, I have a special assignment for you, you say, fixing her with an intense stare. These samples must be taken to Dr. Scott at Autumn Grove. See to it personally. You hand her a lead-lined security case. The cryopack inside contains the stuff of nightmares. Mindworm specimens. Viable specimens, captured and preserved at the cost of untold lives. Scott's team has studied the recent mindworm upsurge and claims that the worm boils act as a sort of regulator for planet's ecology. Human settlement is disrupting the native ecosystem, and the mindworms are swarming like a kind of ecological antibody. Scott has also reached an even more ominous conclusion. With modern biology lab facilities, mindworms could be bred in captivity and used as horrifying weapons against other human factions. At once, lady, Lindley says, stepping backwards into the accessway. Efficient, competent, and far better disciplined than the youths of the 21st century Earth you left behind, Lindley has grown up in a world fraught with very real dangers. Terrifying dangers, once the exclusive province of the same manner of legends and tales to which Earth itself is now consigned. We're going to shift our focus now, because we've gotten many of the important Explorer technologies. We want build and conquer. We want to be building up our bases, and we want to be developing weapons, which we can use to take over other people's bases. Because hopefully we're going to find them soon. We're going to go to the Flowers Preach. We're going to change away from the virtual world because it's not the most important. Instead, we're going to go for the Empath Guild, which will only take us 12 turns. Actually, we can make a partial payment and finish it next turn. Put those worms on there. Rest.
Complete.
Solar. Rest. Last Rose of Summer. So we can now use technicians and librarians as well. And I haven't been talking about those much, just because I haven't had many bases where I really want to use them. You really only start wanting to make heavy use of specialists once you have supply crawlers. And I'll talk more about that when we reach that point. But basically the technique is you get a whole bunch of nutrients, funneled to a base through whatever methods. And then you go, okay, so instead of, producing energy that is then split up between economy and labs, I can just make this guy a technician, and he generates 3 economy. And then I can make this guy a technician, and this guy a technician. Now we have a small nutrient shortfall, but we can make it up. Now we're at +3 nutrients again, and look, now I'm generating 12 economy energy. So that can be useful, especially late game when you have supply crawlers trucking in nutrients. You can have a base that is making just an absolutely disgusting amount of money for you. But I'll deal with that more later. I'm actually going to end this episode here because I think it's about time. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate everybody who tunes in. If you liked this content, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, and more stuff like this will be coming to you on the regular. So thank you once again, and I will see you in the next video.